Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Argentinian Grand Prix. And as you can see, Marquez has a really good start from the pole position, and Rossi might be taking an inside move, and looks like he has forced the Suzuki rider and the factory Ducati rider to lift the bike up. Alex Rins and Dobby ran wide there, and looks like Fabio Quartararo has crashed in the beginning of the race. What a disaster for the satellite Yamaha Petronas rider. A bad day for him, and as you can see, it's Dobby who has crashed. A bad day for the factory Ducati as well, and Jack Miller has already made a move on Valentino Rossi, and as you can see behind Rossi, it's the younger brother of Marquez, Alex Marquez. He's also made a pass on Rossi. No, he tried to, but Rossi tries to brake as late as possible. Might be making an inside move on Jack Miller. Jack Miller forced to run wide. Rossi is still trying to maintain the second position. Rossi made a contact with the younger brother of Marquez, and Alex Marquez looks like he's got a really good start in this particular race, trying to make the best use of it. Rossi almost made a contact with Jack Miller's motorcycle and almost managed to stay on the motorcycle. And again, as you can see, Jack Miller has made one more move on Valentino Rossi, and Rossi might be making an inside move once again, might be making a move at this particular corner. He almost had contact with Jack Miller. That is going to create a lot of buzz after the race. There was a contact between Rossi and Jack Miller, the satellite Ducati rider, and Rossi makes another contact with the Repsol Honda rider. A bunch of contacts from Rossi's side. Looks like Rossi forces Alex Marquez to run wide once again. Rossi aggressive on his motorcycle. Rossi is not going to give up. Rossi has a lot of work to do at the front. He can't let Marquez go to the distance, and he knows when Marquez finds his pace, it's really hard to stop him, especially in this particular track. It's one of the favorite tracks of Marquez, and looks like Petrucci has made a move on Jack Miller, the factory Ducati rider, and he has to make a move on Jack Miller because he wants to be in a better position compared to Jack Miller in the championship standings. Rossi tries to close the gap on Marquez, but it looks like it's too late for him, and Petrucci has already made a pass on Rossi. Rossi might be looking for the slipstream from the Ducati, but it looks like he's also getting a top speed better than Ducati because of the slipstream. Rossi makes an inside move. Rossi tries to brake hard as possible, and Petrucci now is moved into the third position, and Rossi is still trying to maintain his spot in the second position. Rossi working hard to close the gap, but looks like Marquez has already said goodbye to the rest of the people out there, and he's on his own pace, and Petrucci makes a really fast move, and Rossi was not expecting that move, but again Rossi cuts back and takes the inside line, and Rossi again tries to maintain the second position. Now, as you can see, it's Jack Miller who has made a pass on the factory Ducati rider, and Jack Miller really need to be consistent as possible, and looks like Jack is doing a pretty good job, and Jack is also trying to chase down Rossi here. Rossi tries to brake as late as possible, and looks like Jack might take an outside move, but no, it's Rossi almost side by side with Jack Miller, but Rossi still trying to defend his second position, and he might be making an inside move. He might brake as late as possible. Jack Miller almost touches Rossi. Jack Miller who has to brake too hard, and Jack Miller has ran wide, ladies and gentlemen. Jack Miller was almost trying to make an inside move, but Rossi suddenly closed the doors completely, and Jack Miller was not having any room there, and he had to avoid a contact and a crash with Valentino Rossi, and he forced himself to run wide, and that looks like was a really bad incident for Jack Miller. And look who has made the best use of these things, these incidents which happened recently, and it's Petrucci and Alex Rins. Petrucci forced to run wide because of the defensive move of Rossi, and Rossi still trying to defend his second position as much as possible. He knows that his motorcycle basically struggles in this particular track. He was not really feeling comfortable well. He was riding for the race pace. He felt a lot of issues when he was riding in the free practice sessions, and he was pretty sure that these tires are not going to last much, and he can't let these riders pass him, and at the moment they'll pass, they will just disappear in front of him, and he knows that, and that's what happened in Marquez's case. Rossi tried to get back to Marquez, but Marquez was flying, absolutely flying in this particular racetrack. As you can see, this Marquez is not even visible in front of looks like he's already started the next lap, and Rossi doing a pretty good job. Alex Rins, the factory Suzuki rider, was also in a good pace. Franco Morbidelli is now in the 5th place, and he might be making a move on Petrucci as much. Oh, Rossi has ran wide. What a mistake from Rossi. Rossi also had a moment there. He lost the rear once again, and it's Petrucci and Alex Rins who's now ahead of Rossi, and Rossi again makes a brilliant move on Alex Rins, but he again runs wide. It's Alex Rins and Petrucci who's ahead of Rossi right now. Rossi have to find a slipstream of the Suzuki, and he need to make a pass, and it looks like it's Petrucci who's gonna make a pass on Rossi side by side, and Petrucci has already made use of the power of the Ducati, and Rossi tries his level best to make a pass on these riders. Rossi makes an outside move on Alex Rins, and he was not able to catch up with Jack Miller, but now looks like it's Alex Rins on the factory Suzuki rider who's already taken the 3rd position. Rossi really finding it hard to make a move on these riders. Rossi makes an inside move. No, it's again Alex Rins. He closes the door completely, and again, as you can see, there's a contact between Carl Crutchlow and Franco Morbidelli. Carl Crutchlow was really not happy with the move. He was forced to run wide, and Franco makes a move on Petrucci. As we discussed earlier, Petrucci was really lacking the pace compared to Franco Morbidelli, and looks like Petrucci is defending his position once again, and he forced the rest of the riders to stay behind him. And again, Franco really looking in a good form, unlike his teammate who had a mistake in the beginning of the race in the first corner itself. Looks like he really pushed too much and asked too much from the front tire, and he had a low side. What a disaster for Fabio Quartararo in this particular race. He was in a good form in the previous races, but an unfortunate incident for the Petronas Yamaha rider. And he was having a really good season previous year, and we were expecting a lot from him in this season. He is in a good form, but he's again looking for the new limits for the new Yamaha M1, and the geometry has completely changed. As you can see, it's a bit more nimble, and it's unlike the previous generation M1s, and it's ready to fight for victories and ready to fight in between the races and chase down the next better position, unlike the previous M1 versions of M1, where you have to settle down with the current position you have. You can't be like fighting with the riders aggressively, just the way the Honda riders and the Ducati riders used to do. M1 was really like a different kind of a machine, but looks like they have changed the geometry, and the riders are able to fight for better position. And again, as you can see, it's Alex Marquez who was once in the 3rd position of fighting with Rossi in the lead group, has now moved to the top 10. It's an unfortunate incident for him as well. Expected a lot from him, but looks like he is not able to maintain the pace with these big boys, and it's Petrucci and Fabio again fighting for the 4th position. And looks like it's again Petrucci who's trying to make use of the power of the Ducati, and also trying to make pass on trying to make a pass on Rossi as well, but it looks like it's really hard for him to close the gap on Rossi. And as you can see, it's Franco Morbidelli and Petrucci side by side, and Crutchlow is also closely observing these two riders, and behind Crutchlow is Maverick Vinales. What a bad day for him as well. Rossi also ran a bit wide, but he took a wider line for a better exit, and looks like that has helped him to maintain the gap. Again, we get back to the first group, or we can say the second group here, because Marc Marquez has already disappeared. It's Alex Rins who's fighting with Jack Miller, the Australian rider. Franco Morbidelli still trying to find out how to make a move on Petrucci, but Petrucci looks like he's already having a fight with Rossi, who's ahead of him. Oh my god, Petrucci was forced to run wide once again because of the defensive mode. This happened in one of the previous laps. Deja vu once again, and now Petrucci has again fall into the trap of Franco Morbidelli, Carl Crutchlow and Maverick Vinales. What a bad day for Petrucci. Now Maverick Vinales is trying to make a move on the outside of Carl Crutchlow. Looks like Maverick Vinales has done it. Maverick Vinales has made a move from the outside on Carl Crutchlow, and he has managed to build a better position here. And Franco Morbidelli, and now he knows that he has the pace to do the catch up with like Petrucci and Rossi, and he will definitely make sure that he'll find the right pace. He's waiting for the right moment, and Rossi ran a bit wide. Rossi almost had a contact with Petrucci. Oh my god, Petrucci almost ran wide, and Rossi takes the 4th position.
Let's take a look at the final ranking of today's race.
As you can see, it's Mark Marquez who's the winner here, and then Jack Miller in the second position, and behind them it's Alex Rins and Rossi in the fourth position. And Franco Morbidelli had made a pass on the bunch of the riders who were ahead of him, and looks like Maverick Vinales is now in the top 6 in this particular race. Not a bad result for him. Carl Crutchlow in the 7th, and then Alex Marks in the 8th position. Good news for the factory Repsol Honda team. And Johan Zarco in the 9th. Good news for him. Danilo Petrucci, look what has happened to him after the fight with Rossi. Has gone suddenly from the fight for the 4th position to the 10th position. Disaster for him, and a good news for Johan Zarco as well. He did a pretty good job in the 9th position. Not a bad day for the Ducati rider. As you can see now, Marc Marquez leads the Riders' Championship, and behind him it's Valentino Rossi, and the Team Championship led by Yamaha, and most probably the Constructors' Championship is now led by Honda.